Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm your host, Brian Scott. We have a fascinating channeling to read from Quo. This one delivered very recently on November 25th, 2023. And in particular, this covers a variety of topics. Now, it's always very hard for me to give a title to a Quo episode because they talk about so many different things. The first thing they talk about here is the law of attraction, but it's very briefly, but I found their response interesting. They also talk about star children, Stargates, postpartum psychosis, the aliveness of stone, building the Great Pyramid, financial gifts, DNA, reincarnation, second density graduation, service to children, transition to fourth density, interaction with ETs, administering medications to the dying, timelines, alternate healing, germ and terrain theories, conserving sexual energy, value of past life regressions, negative attachments, guarding against undesirable outcomes. So seriously, they're talking about so many interesting things here. I think that you'll find it quite compelling. If this is your first exposure to Quo, I'm so excited for you. Quo is essentially a principle of advanced alien civilizations that channel through a group called LL Research. They have been channeling for 50 years. You can access these channelings at llresearch.org, which has a compilation of these channelings. They go back 50 years. They've covered every possible topic, and they come from an amazing place of love and are very educational and resonant with me. They've taught me quite a bit, and it's fun for me to read. And a lot of people get more than just the words when I read this. There's an energetic component, a transfer in energy that is happening when I read these words. We begin with Jim channeling. I am Quo, and am with this instrument at this time. We greet each of you in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. We are most honored to be called to your circle of seeking this afternoon. It is a joy to be in the presence of those portions of the one infinite creator that are making their way through the third density experience, which is such a difficult journey, but one which produces such joy. We would ask that you listen to the words we speak in response to your queries with a discriminating ear, one which examines what we say carefully and determines what has value and what does not. Please leave aside any words or thoughts that we speak that are not valuable to you at this time, for we would not wish to provide any kind of stumbling block in your journey. If you will do this favor, we are then able to respond in a more complete fashion to your queries. Is there a query with which we may begin? Quo, I have a question in reference to law of attraction. They teach to act as if something already happened and it will manifest. At times, those things are things that bring me either fear or anger. I just wonder if this is a form of spiritual bypassing or avoiding catalysts, or is it beneficial to do this because all these lessons are already learned, maybe? Quo says, I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query, my sister. The law of attraction is a law unto those who believe it is so. It is a means by which you may exercise your desire for one kind of experience or another that may be of assistance in your journey of seeking the one infinite creator in the form of love and light within your third density illusion. The seeking of what is desired could be, however, as you have assumed, a means by which one desires only that which is of a positive nature, a nature of which has no difficulty, no need to change, and experience the nature of change, which, though it can be painful, also can be transformative. So we would suggest that if you wish to use the law of attraction most effectively in your spiritual journey, that you see within the nature of your experience the value of asking that your pre-incarnative choices to learn certain lessons may manifest in the appropriate way and at the appropriate time in your journey of seeking. For each of you has programmed lessons that you wish to learn that will help you to advance further and further along the path of seeking the one creator in your life journey in one way or another. And these lessons are that which provide the ability to move through difficult catalysts so that your spiritual strength is enhanced and you're able to move further and further along your path of seeking. Is there a further query, my sister? No, Quo, thank you. I am Quo, and we thank you, my sister. Is there another query at this time? I have one, Quo. This is M2. Could you make comment as to the star children that are coming in now, and in contrast to them, the black-eyed children that also seem to show up? I am Quo and am aware of your query, my sister. The star children or the indigo children that you speak of have been moving into incarnation within your third density planet for a number of years now, and have begun a work which is more, shall we say, advanced along the spiritual path, and that they have made the harvest, shall we say, or the graduation on other third density planets, and have moved to this planet in order to be able to share their love and appreciation of the Creator in all beings. They are those who are able to create changes in consciousness by their very being here, enlightening the planetary vibrations. They are a kind of wanderer which has come to this planet in a wandering fashion, and yet in the fashion of choosing this planet so that they may share which they have learned that has been of service to them, and in their ability to be of service to others. The dark-eyed children that you speak of are those which have, upon the other hand, or the other path, have come also to share their knowledge of how to be of service to the self in a manner which enhances the power and the nature of the self to be of a controlling fashion, which is what you would call the more negatively of the polarized paths. They provide another path to the one infinite Creator and seek in their own fashion to serve the Creator by aiding it and knowing itself in a manner in which they are more separating and dominating in a way which allows them to find power of control and of attraction of that which they wish for themselves to be more prevalent. Is there a further query, my sister? I have another query, Quo. Could you speak to us about Stargates that might currently exist on this planet and how they are being used for extraterrestrials coming to our planet now? I am Quo, and am aware of your query, my sister. That which you refer to as the Stargate is what we would call opening with the ley lines of the planetary being that is your Mother Earth. These gates are accessible to a certain type of vibration of those who are from elsewhere, those that you would call extraterrestrial beings that are moving in more and more numbers and rapidity to the planet you now live upon as a kind of wanderer from the higher densities which do not incarnate, but who move about the surface of your planet. Sometimes in the type of craft you would call the UFO which is seen, and sometimes in the type of craft which is the UFO which is not seen or is only seen by those who have eyes to see. There's another type of the increase of vibrations which is manifesting at this time upon your planet as the third density experience is coming to a close. This is an experience which is not always available at a particular time, but is in a rhythm, shall we say, that corresponds to the, you might call them, positions of the stars within the sky, that provide a various emanation of vibration, which may help to enhance the ability of the population of the planet that is consciously seeking the truth to be able to do so. Thus, there are many who are not conscious seekers of truth, who do not have the eyes to see these types of craft or beings or thought forms that enter your planetary beingness through that which you call the Stargates. Is there a further query, my sister? I have a question, Quo, unless you have a follow-up to that. There is a small percentage of mothers who experience postpartum psychosis. Can you speak to the cause of this condition while in the postpartum period, and expand on the cause of psychosis in general? Does the awakening of Kundalini energy during the birthing process have anything to do with it in any significant way? My theory is that it does, thus bringing out the entity's shadow side of the personality that has not been integrated so that it may be seen and healed, but paradoxically in many cases it is far too intense for the entity to be able to handle consciously. What are the best methods of aiding someone who is in psychosis, and can you comment on whether or not I'm tracking here? I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query, my sister. That which you have described as the postpartum psychosis is a process that has various manifestations and causes within the one experiencing the postpartum psychosis. There is in each facet of each person's life path the times which are difficult and which may be experienced as a kind of breaking or separating of a portion of the mind from the greater portion of the mind, so that a difficult situation might be dealt with by one portion of the mind which is subconscious. The portion that is conscious is not aware of the process that is going on. This is a process whereby another entity is becoming able to enter an incarnation in a manner which has karmic overtones, you might say. That is the joining of souls that have been together before in a certain fashion, which did not meet the desires of one or both of the souls at that time. Thus, each feels the need to move back into an experience to share the life path in another incarnation. This type of experience of difficulty in previous incarnations then is transferred to the beginning incarnation in a manner which is perceived by the mother as that which she both desires and somewhat fears on the subconscious level, for that is where the information is stored concerning the previous shared incarnations. The ability to work through this kind of experience in a positive manner is to begin some type of work within the subconscious mind that would allow the mother after the birth of the child to be able to find that portion within her own being that is most desirous of having this experience, to once again move in harmony that was not able to be accomplished in the previous incarnation. Thus, if one can engage in aggressive hypnosis, or the working with dreams or meditating and seeking the answers within by communicating with a deeper level of subconscious mind, then there might be the healing of the postpartum psychosis, which has manifested as the difficult experience. This is the work of a great number of people at this time, as there are many who are attempting to work through the difficult experiences of previous incarnations so that they may heal those experiences and begin to move forward once again in the manner that was desired in previous incarnations, and begin to open their hearts in unconditional love one for the other, in a manner which would allow them to polarize the consciousness sufficiently to be able to make the graduation into the fourth density of love and understanding. Is there a further query, my sister? Thank you, Quo. I would follow up with one more question regarding the postpartum period. There seems to be a connection, and I have read that giving birth itself can awaken Kundalini energy. And I'm wondering if this is a happenstance or if there's a reason for this. I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query, my sister. We find that in this case, there is not one general response that can fit each person experiencing what might be seen to be the Kundalini experience being awakened during the postpartum experience of psychosis. This may be in some cases the feeling within the mother that there is indeed an experience that's been felt in previous incarnations to be less than was desired, as we spoke before. And yet in the current incarnation, the feeling that there is the great opportunity to begin again, the spiritual journey that was, shall we say, distorted or cut short in previous incarnations, and begin it in this life path so that there is more of the feeling of love for each other, the feeling of the appropriate nature of the experience approaching, the moving of feeling through the chakras or energy centers in a manner which would be enlightening to each entity, but most especially to the mother, which is more conscious of the life path as it has traveled further upon this life path in the present incarnation. Is there another query, my sister? No. Thank you so much. I am Quo, and we thank you, my sister. Is there another query at this time? I have one in reference to Ra's quote to the pyramid stones being alive. Can you elaborate on that? I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query. My sister, not only are the stones alive, but the entire creation is alive. For the one infinite creator has created all there is within the creation out of itself as a means by which to know itself in every form. Whether it is in first, second, third, or so on, densities of beings that exhibit what you call intelligence. When this intelligence within the stone is spoken to by those who have contact with intelligent infinity or the one infinite creator, then that type of contact is simply used to ask the intelligence in the stone to be shaped in such a manner that in this case was shaped in the Great Pyramid of Giza. Thus, this is a simple example of that which may be accomplished by a social memory complex such as those of Ra, when they're able to work in harmony with each other and with the one infinite creator within the stones that are indeed alive, and which indeed are intelligent and which move as asked, when asked in a way which is in congruence with the unity of all things and the liveliness of all things. Is there a further query, my sister? Just one more also in reference. Ra said, the pyramids which we thought built or constructed from thought forms created by our social memory complex, were they moved or built using sound vibrations, or was it something that I'm not understanding? I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query, my sister. These stones, shall we say, were not moved from one location to another, but were created out of the intelligent infinity that exists within each portion of the one infinite creation. This was possible because those of Ra were able to see and feel and affect and communicate with that infinity that became intelligent and alive within the stones. They were created in place and seemed to be one stone upon another, then in truth, they were one great stone, the Great Pyramid of Giza. Is there another query, my sister? Not now for me, thank you. I am Quo, and we thank you, my sister. Is there another query at this time? Quo, when we give, for example, financial contribution to positive energy entities such as LL Research, would I understand that there may be a karmic benefit of an equal nature, or is it even a multiplier benefit that may be received back in karmic type of sense from the beneficial contribution? I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query, my brother. The contribution to any organization which you feel is worthy of a contribution, be it monetary, time, or talents, or thoughts of love and light, are those types of contributions which draw forth from the depths of your being, which is the one infinite creator. The reciprocal type of giving unto the self, because all is one. As you give, so you receive. This is a kind of giving that is not necessarily karmic, and that you do not owe it to anyone or do not need to balance it. It is that which is created by the desire, the intention by which you give, whatever you give. These are seeds, shall we say, that are sown in the field of your own being and grow, because you have been fastidious in watering them with the love and the light of the one infinite creator. Is there another query, my brother? Not on that topic, Quo. I understand that we may have 12 energetic strands of DNA, that each of us have 2 that are energetic, and understand that I may have a primary strand Pleiadians and a source stranded Sirians. Do you have knowledge of that? Can you get more information about that? I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query, my brother. The DNA that is the basic, shall we say, building block of the physical nature of an entity may be that which is from any of a great variety of sources in previous times of living upon other planets, in other solar systems, and indeed in other galaxies, for many are the locations of the wanderers that have come to this planet, to be of service to the planet and its population by lightening the vibration of the planet, and also by going through the same forgetting process that each third density entity goes through, and then sharing certain talents or skills that may also increase the ability of the population of the planet to learn more of the spiritual journey and to undertake it in a conscious fashion. Thus, the DNA that various wanderers have used is a result of their place of origin within the one infinite creation, and is a means by which they create their physical vehicles in whatever place of service they choose to incarnate. Is there another query, my brother? No, that's all, thank you. I am Quo, and we thank you, my brother. Is there another query at this time? Quo, I have a question. Can you elaborate more on reincarnation? For example, is my grandmother, who passed on July 22nd, 2018, on the earth right now? I am Quo, and am aware of your query, my sister. We find that in this instance, this is a part of information which we feel must be cautious about sharing with you, for it might infringe upon your free will. If you feel that you may have the knowledge of your grandmother's reincarnation in a certain place or body, but are not certain of it, if you felt that you did indeed know this was the case, then we would confirm it. In the present situation, however, we feel that we might be better of service to you by suggesting that this is a possibility. Is there a further query, my sister? Not related to that, I do have a further question. Do dogs have the ability to move into the third density in this life? I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query, my sister. We find that the various types of second density creatures that you call animals or dogs or pets have the ability to become, shall we say, energized in a certain fashion that will allow them to become third density beings within their next incarnation, as they have been able in most cases to give and receive that which you know of as love, and develop a bond with the human being for which they are the pet. This is the means by which many second density entities are able to add to their mind and body complexes, the spirit complex, which then moves them from awareness to self-consciousness and into the third density experience at its beginning. Is there a further query, my sister? I am Quo, and we thank you, my sister. Is there another query at this time? Quo, I have a question. Do second density beings experience the veil of forgetting, or does that just pertain to the third density being? And with things such as birds, bees, or anything that swarms or seems to have a hive mind, it's as though they don't have that veil. Is that so? I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query, my sister. It is true that the second density creatures, whether they be dogs or cats or bees, or any second density creature, do not have the veil of forgetting, because they are more in touch with the one infinite creator, and exist as a more, shall we say, realized portion of the one infinite creator, communicating in many cases telepathically, so they are aware of the unity of the creation around them in a way in which the third density entities are not aware, because they do have the veil of forgetting that allows them, paradoxically, to polarize their path of seeking much more effectively, without having the knowledge of the unity of the creation, but having it subconsciously rather than consciously. And that subconscious feeling that there is a greater reality allows the spiritual journey to begin. However, in the second density, the spiritual journey is that of present consciousness of the unity of creation, and yet there is no movement forward until there is the ability to develop the self-awareness, and not the simple awareness that the second density creatures exhibit. This is, as we have spoken in the previous query, is that which is developed. When there is a relationship with the third density beings that allows the inculturation of the quality of devotion and love and connection with the third density being, to bring the second density being into the awareness of itself, the self-consciousness that is what activates the spirit complex. Is there another query, my sister? No, thank you. I am Quo. And we thank you, my sister. Is there another query at this time? I have a question, Quo. How can we best be of service to our children and for those of us who aren't parents, the children of the earth, and just helping them grow spiritually? I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query, my sister. The service to the young child within your illusion is that which begins with the knowledge of the child as having incarnated into the third density for that purpose that is the same as your purpose, to become of service to others in a positive fashion. That will allow them to move forward into the graduation into the fourth density of love and understanding. Thus, when you accept this fact of the birthing of a child to be the same as your own path, then to nurture this growing desire to become more self-aware and become a spiritual seeker consciously is that which can be accomplished by sharing with the child or any child the ability and necessity of some form of realization, as far as you're aware of the nature of the reality, that there is a creator that exists in all things, that each child has the ability to give and to receive love, that each has the ability to know itself and to know other selves in a manner which sees them the same each the other. This is a kind of worship, you might say, a type of traveling a conscious spiritual path of seeking truth, so that you treat the child, as you may say, an equal to yourself, not speaking down to it, but speaking clearly and from the heart, so that what you say is imbued with the compassion of your own heart and with the knowledge that you have of your own path of seeking, that you share back and forth the kind of spiritual food that helps each to grow, for each of you is a portion of the one infinite creator, and each of you may benefit by sharing that which you know, that which you want to know, and that which you are. This is the great journey of each entity upon the third density illusion of this planet Earth. This is the work of all seekers of truth here. I do want to be careful with guidance and sharing since children are so impressionable. I wonder if we should be very concerned about their own free will when sharing spiritual information with them. Is this a valid concern? I am Quo and I'm aware of your query, my sister. This is indeed a concern that has the validity for when you share that what you feel is your own path of seeking and purpose for life. You may share it in the same fashion that we share this information with you. Tell the child that this is your path, your feelings, your journey, and that they may have a similar path. It may be different, because each child is unique. However, there are general guidelines that may apply to all entities. If you speak these words that are coming from your heart in a manner which gives the child the ability and necessity to consider them for their own value, then you recognize their free will so that you give the best that you have to give. Then let the child use it as it will. Is there another query, my sister? No, thank you very much. I am Quo, and we thank you, my sister. Is there another query at this time? Yes, Quo. I have a question that really affects all of us. It has been said we are approaching the event or shift of time where evil will be removed and we can all rise into awareness and knowledge and wisdom and living in a higher conscious level, and that the extraterrestrials or benevolent advanced civilizations have now been green-lighted to come and assist us and help us. Could you elaborate yea or nay or give more information on these times? I am Quo and I'm aware of your query, my sister. Indeed, these are times in which there will be the final movement of the negatively oriented entities in their own expression of seeking the Creator on the negative path. This is something which has reached its potential because of the nearing of the end of third density experience upon your planet. This is a time which will then be followed and is now being experienced by those incarnating in the positive sense, who have come from other planets where they have made the harvest. And as we have said previously, they have now come here to the planet Earth, where they will have their own fourth density experience after they have been able to help in the movement of the rest of the population of this planet in a similar fashion into the fourth density of love and understanding. This is something which has been occurring in a greater and greater quantity and quality over the past few years as you measure time. This is that which has been spoken of in various resources, where there is this general knowledge of the end of one age and the beginning of another, and the opportunities for growth. For those who are going through this experience due to there being less of the, shall we say, dark side of the path, of seeking the self-service, and more of the light side of the path represented by these entities with the dual activated bodies from other third density planets that are now incarnating on planet Earth. Is there another query, my sister? Just an extension. Will we be then now very soon interacting with extraterrestrials? I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query, my sister. There is the interaction with those that you call the extraterrestrials that has been occurring for a great portion of your time, which may increase as time moves forward. For there is the need for there to be more inspirational contact with the population of Earth that seeks such contact in a conscious fashion. This has been the process of the extraterrestrial entities moving into the Earth planes for many of your years, which has now begun to increase for those who have eyes to see. Is there any further query, my sister? No, thank you. I am Quo, and we thank you, my sister. Is there another query at this time? I have a question, Quo. I have heard the end-of-life medications like morphine that we use to give entities to ease their suffering can actually make the entities transition out of the physical vehicle more traumatic to the spirit complex when heavily inundated with these chemicals. I've also heard that euthanasia used for pets, and again attempts to aid the entity's comfort again, can also have some spiritual consequence when transitioning out of the physical vehicle. Is there any of the fidelity to this, and can you comment to what is the best means of service for an entity that is transitioning out of the physical vehicle? Thank you, Quo. I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query, my sister. We feel that the best response that we might make to this particular query is one to suggest that though the intentions are well meant in the administration of various drugs for both people and pets, in order to make the transition more easy, shall we say, or pain-free, that it is usually more the case that there is more support and love that is helpful in the simple praising of the ability of the transition to occur, in knowing that the entity making the transition is moving out of the third density illusion into an area where there is no veil of forgetting, and the experience is much like going home, shall we say. This is something they have momentary difficulties, and yet these difficulties are part of the path back into the existence of the entities within the truer home, that is within the inner planes of your planet. Is there another query, my sister? Thank you, Quo. Just to extend a little bit, can medications have any effect on the spirit complex when transitioning? Are there any, or is it have any effect? I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query, my sister. We find that the spirit complex is the least affected by any type of third density administration of medications, or any type of movement of energy into the mind-body-spirit complex, as it makes the transition out of the physical vehicle and moves back into unity with the Creator in a more fully and gloriously experienced event, shall we say. This is something that is the simple realization that the mind and the body are means by which the spirit moves through the third density experience and is able to acquire more and more polarization of the desire to serve others, or in another way of saying this, of opening the heart in unconditional love. Thus, the spirit is that which endures beyond any kind of effect in the third density experience. Is there another query, my sister? No. That cleared up beautifully. Thank you, Quo. I am Quo, and we thank you, my sister. Is there another query at this time? I have a question on timelines. It appears that they're closer together, closer and closer together, and timeline jumping is more and more prevalent than it used to be. Is this correct? I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query, my sister. As far as we are aware, that experiencing various timelines is something that has been occurring for a great portion of what you call time. This allows the seeker of truth to begin to expand its knowledge of its journey and the way of achieving the graduation into the fourth density of love and understanding. Thus, if various timelines can be used by one entity, then there is the accumulation of more experience, so that the progress of the oversoul, shall we say, or the higher self that is expressing itself in the third density illusion, is enhanced and can be considered to be more productive of achieving the pre-incarnated choices of learning certain lessons that again are the food for growth, the grist for the mill, shall we say. Is there any further query, my sister? No, thank you. I am Quo, me thank you, my sister. Is there another query at this time? Quo, if I use the example of an end-stage breast cancer patient who is sent home to die, who then fasts for 10 days, and then 11 days, and is read continuous positive energy literature while awake and asleep, and then is healed at the end of 21 days. Is that a strategy that could work in reversing most cancer? I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query, my brother. This is a field of investigation and a type of application of principles that have the ability to create what you call the healing of the cancer. If there is also a realization that is made by the one with the cancer as to the conditions of mind that brought about the cancer. For in many cases, though not all cases, the cancer is that which is born of the expression of anger. The anger perhaps at another being, perhaps at the self. Thus the anger needs to be dealt with in some fashion. The process that you have explained is one which may be able to enhance the cure of cancer if there is also the inner investigation of the one with the cancer as to where they've experienced the anger, and then use your technique as the means by which to cure the cancer. Is there a further query, my brother? That was very helpful. Thank you, Quo. I am Quo, and we thank you, my brother. Is there another query at this time? I have one more question. If no one else has one right now, Quo, can you comment on the validity of germ theory and then terrain theory? I am Quo, and we would ask that you repeat the query, as this instrument's ears were unable to receive the words. Yes, Quo. Can you comment to the validity of germ theory and then the validity of terrain theory? In previous channeling, some comments were made that seem to support terrain theory, and I'm looking for some clarity. I'm Quo, and I'm afraid that this instrument is having difficulty perceiving what you have said, so that we are unable to make a reply. Can you comment to just germ theory? The idea of how can you explain how so-called diseases are spread from person to person and viruses? What are viruses? I am Quo, and are now aware of your query, my sister. We apologize for this instrument ears. They are somewhat difficult to operate. The germs that you speak of are those kinds of entities that are utilized to provide various kinds of experiences that you call the disease that might be felt necessary for the body to experience when the mind has not dealt with the catalyst that it has experienced in a conscious fashion. And yet, though experiencing in a conscious fashion has not been able to find a solution, has not been able to focus upon the cause, perhaps because it is unwilling or unable to thusly. In this case, there would be the use of germs to give the body a disease that is symbolic in some fashion, so that the mind might see the disease in its symbolic fashion expressing in the body, and then be able to take the steps necessary to correct the behavior in the thinking that was in a manner of discord or difficulty that needs to be dealt with as the catalyst that may produce this kind of difficulty, and yet, when dealt with, consciously gives the entity the ability to move forward on its spiritual path of seeking. Is there a further query? No, thank you, Quo. I am Quo, and we thank you. Is there another query? Yes, I have a question, Quo. In terms of polarization, should sexual energy be conserved, and to what extent generally can sexual energy be viewed as spiritual currency? I am Quo, and am aware of your query, my sister. The sexual energy is that which is a great representation or manifestation of the steady state of the one infinite creator that is utilized when the third density experience, or within any density's experience, in the manner in which it is shared with another, in a manner of seeking to serve the one infinite creator by the experience of joy, and the orgasm of the various energy centers moving through the entire field of energy centers. There is the transfer of energy from one to the other that is most helpful for the spiritual seeker that has opened its heart in unconditional love to those about it. We must say that it is the heart that is open that is able to express and experience the sexual energy transfer. If the heart itself is not open, then there is no transfer of energy of the spiritual nature, only of the physical nature. Thus, there is much of the physical energy that is transferred from the male quality of entity to the female quality of entity, and much of the spiritual and emotional energy from the female type of energy to the male type of energy. Is there a further query, my sister? Yes. So I understand there's a lot of powerful spiritual beliefs of such energy transfers when the higher centers are involved. But should the sexual energy be conserved at all? Or should it be expressed freely as long as those higher centers are used? Is there any significance to consider? I am Quo, and am aware of your query, my sister. It is our feeling that in the third density experience, it is most helpful to express the sexual energy transfers as a means of continuing along the path of spiritual seeking in the positive sense, as we have said, when there is the open heart to begin with. To conserve sexual energies is a choice of each seeker. However, there needs to be some kind of intention that is of a positive nature in the conserving of such energies, if there is to be a gain of polarity or experience in the conserving of these energies. In the larger sense, we would suggest the expressing of these energies For this is a means by which the spiritual seeker of truth can give on a station to the one infinite creator who is always in the state of perpetual orgasmic experience, feeling the entire unity of the creation and the joy of being one with all. Is there a further query? No, thank you, Quo. I am Quo, and we thank you, my sister. Is there any further query at this time? Yes, Quo. I'd like to ask about past lives. In my work, I do past life readings and past life regressions, and I'm discovering that in past lives, the abilities or things that a person did or was good at or the skills they obtained are being brought forward into this life. And I find that when they recognize that, it enhances it. Could you speak about the exploring of past persons' lives as being beneficial to what they are going through in this life? I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query, my sister. The experiences that entities within the third density illusion have had in past lives could be seen as building blocks that are creating a structure of spiritual seeking that may be expressed in a manner that is desired as pre-incarnated choices for the upcoming life experience. Thus, in many cases, it is helpful for a seeker to know more about his own previous experiences. However, if the lessons of those previous experiences have been learned, it is more helpful for the seeker to focus upon the new lessons that the pre-incarnated choices have made for the current incarnation. Thus, the regression into previous lives may be able to not only see what is helpful from the previous life, but what has been chosen for the current life in the pre-incarnated choices. Is there a further query, my sister? Just to elaborate, so that knowing or delving into our past life skills and abilities then that you see or have in this life can be a form of reinforcement of relationship to self, old self, new self, that type of thing, so it could be beneficial in that way? I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query, my sister. And the short answer is yes. Is there a further query, my sister? No, thank you. And we thank you, my sister. Is there another query at this time? I have one more. Are there attachments that there was a goal of attaching to you to keep your vibration from reaching a certain level? And if it was, what is it? I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query, my sister. We are aware that there's occasionally for some entities that which you call the attachment of negative or confusing energies to the energy body of the chakras or the energy centers. That is possible when one has moved into areas of seeking personal information that can move the entity forward more quickly than is wise to move at this time. This type of choice of seeking to move in this fashion is usually noticed by those you may call inner plane sources of energy, that then look at the choice in the energy center connected to that choice, seeking where there is little benefit and even detrimental that comes from seeking in general sense. This is something that needs to be recognized when one feels this kind of energy dulling or blunting, so that one may utilize the intentions to move to a higher level of seeking and the higher energy centers, so that one is more able to express the desire to open the heart in unconditional love, rather than opening higher energy centers to utilize the power of intelligent energy in a personal sense, which then becomes a difficulty that manifests as the attachment. Is there a further query, my sister? I'm confused by the different energies, and when I'm in a room like this, where everybody's energy is similar, and there's an agreement of energies, I can feel that. When I'm feeling under attack, it's an energy that doesn't agree with me, or an energy around me, and it's like a stranglehold on that energy that kind of knocks me down. And I feel that if I can understand what it is, that I got it. I am Quo, and I believe we understand the query that you have repeated. The energy that knocks you down may or may not have come from your own spiritual choices as to the kind of ways you respond to growth. The growth of your own spiritual awareness in certain areas of your life experience. These areas are places within your own being which have the potential for being helpful if you can realize their origin or how they knock you down. This is a process of your inner being, which has great potential of helping you to become more spiritually aware if you're able to see where the energies have been moved by unconscious choice in many cases that are reflective of how you deal with difficulties. The choices are that which have the ability to halt or cause the movement of awareness to become confused. Fused in a manner which blends maybe this, maybe that when there is a clear perception of the cause. Then the knocking down is removed as a possibility. I am Quo. We thank you, my sister. Is there another query? I have one more, if that's okay, Quo. Can you speak to the balancing of wisdom? If one locks the front door so that no intruder breaks in, does the act of locking the door attract the entities that would want to steal? If someone owns a gun, would it attract situations of conflict where having to use the gun becomes more likely? Should one not prepare for such instances in surrender and complete love and faith? Where's the line between using logic and reason to buckle your seatbelt and not taking a child to daily medical care because the parents have only faith in God? Can you help us to understand? I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query, my sister. We find once again that this is a query which does not have a generally applicable response that would be helpful to every person. To those who have the greatest faith in the wellness and unity and purpose of all things happening as they should, whether that is someone breaking into the house or someone wounding you by a gun, then it would be well to have that faith and exercise it. However, for most entities at this time in the third density illusion, the vibrations of frustration and anger, separation and confusion are such that it is a type of existence that requires some conscientious application of logic. Thus, we would suggest for most entities, it would be well to exercise the caution in each area where you feel there is the potential for a difficulty and intrusion in one manner or another within your mind-body-spirit complex. Thus, we feel that it is a choice that each secret truth needs to make for itself. It is not a choice which can be made for you or given to you. The power of the choice is yours, as are the results of the choice. Is there any further query, my sister? No, thank you. I am Quo, and we thank you, my sister. Is there another query at this time? I am Quo, and we have apparently exhausted the queries. We would thank each present for each query. For each question that you have asked us gives us an opportunity to be of service to you. And in the service to you, we also feel that we are served. It is our great desire to be of service to those of the third density upon your planet Earth at this time. Your third density is one which is most difficult to live within, for you do indeed have the veil of forgetting that keeps each person from seeing the truth of the unity of all creation, until that person becomes consciously aware and conscious, a seeker of truth, and this is the great journey of each entity within the third density. We are most glad to have been invited to join you on that journey today. It is an honor to be here and to our vibrations with yours and to appreciate the great love within each heart presence. At this time, we shall take our leave with this group and of this instrument, thanking each for being here. We leave you all the love and light of the one infinite creator, Adonai Vasu Boragas. And this concludes this very interesting channeling from Quo. If you compare this channeling to many other channelings that we've done, you will notice that obviously many of the people asking these questions did not have an awareness of Quo. So as a result of this, we get some interesting responses. I found the first question about the law of attraction to be interesting because the person asking it sort of gave a loaded question, implying that the law of attraction is bad somehow, that receiving something that you desire is bad. All they said was, in terms of spirituality, that we make pre-incarnative choices. We have desires before we enter into this life. And we should also apply the law of attraction so that we are attracting experiences into our life that allow us to journey on our path that we chose pre-incarnatively. What I find interesting is that there seems to be the implication from Quo compared to other channelings and other channeled entities that we must suffer, that we must have catalyst. That's quite different than, for instance, Abraham, who loves to talk about the law of attraction. These are minor differences, but it's interesting. They've been asked a couple of times, and their responses are always posed towards service to others. The interesting question about the Stargates was somewhat new, that we have not received information on. They're saying that there are ley lines around the Earth that allow for extraterrestrial entities to enter into the Earth that most of the time we don't really see, and only those people that are able to see can see, but they are entering into the Earth through those ley lines. Also, the question about the star seeds, talking about indigo children and how they're coming to the planet to advance and uplift the vibration of our planet, but also the dark-eyed children. I don't think that's ever been referenced in a channeling that I've read, and the idea that there are children that are coming that are negative star seeds that are coming with the intention of serving themselves. In other channelings and the raw material, they imply that that's very rare. Here, there seems to be the implication that there are more than normal, or maybe that it is something that is happening, and they're referring to it as the black-eyed children. If you've heard reference to this before in some other material, please let me know. I'd love to read about it. There's the question about the Great Pyramid. If you ever get a chance, read the Law of One material about Ra and how they created the Great Pyramid. The idea is that those stones were essentially created out of intelligent infinity. That's why they're able to create the Great Pyramid, something that we would not be able to do today. I would love to see someone try to create a pyramid like that. One of my favorite things is to talk about the Great Pyramid. I could certainly talk about it forever. Lots of other stuff, but in most cases, I kind of knew that Quo wasn't going to answer the question. And they were trying to ask very leading questions. For instance, the Kundalini being related to the birth of the child. And what Quo is trying to do is do their best and give an answer. They don't want to disrupt your own spiritual path. And so in many cases, I found it interesting because if you have read Quo or know about Quo, you know they're not going to answer certain questions of that nature if you ask specifics. In any case, I'd love to get your feelings on these questions and the nature of this channeling. You can find all episodes of The Reality Revolution at therealityrevolution.com. And welcome to The Reality Revolution.